Hey, everybody, it's Eric J. Olson for another episode of the Managing Partners podcast. Today I have, you know what? I should have mentioned this beforehand. I've actually brushed up on your names. I knew it wasn't Angel
Well, it's Angel in Spanish, but
and hello. And hell? Say it again.
Angel, but it's
And
it's
hell.
Angel. It is Angel in English. And since we're speaking English, everybody can call me Angel. I no longer get involved in that battle.
I
Um,
can
I
imagine.
gave that up at around 11 years old. I was like, okay, enough's enough.
Yeah.
If you're speaking to me in Spanish, I'll be Angel. If you're speaking to me in English, I'll be Angel. No big deal.
Yeah. No, I figured it wasn't Angel, and that was just the Americans
That is,
butchering.
well, that's
So I actually reached out to a couple people. I'm like, hey, how do you say this?
well, Eric, I had to do something. Trust me, okay?
Yeah, it's definitely a different name in America, huh?
Although it's becoming more popular because there are more of us now.
Well, that is true. Yep, there you
Yeah,
go. Well,
yeah.
cool. I appreciate you joining us. Why don't you
Glad to be here.
take a minute and let everyone know a little bit about what you do and about
Okay.
your business?
Well, you want to know a little bit about me, or the
Yeah,
business?
you and both.
Okay. Well, I actually was born in Honolulu, Hawaii, but I was raised in Puerto Rico until sixth grade, and that's where my dad's family is from. And we still had some relatives living on the island, so we left Hawaii, short stint in the country of Panama, and then back to Puerto Rico until sixth grade. And then my parents divorced, and I moved to Kansas City, where I went to high school. And then after graduating from the University of Michigan Law School, I actually had the pleasure of working at the oldest firm on Wall Street. I did that for exactly a year. And then I moved to Dallas because my best friend was here. And I got a job offer at what at the time was considered a prestigious Dallas firm. And so I said, what the heck, let's give it a shot. So I came here, took the Texas bar, and then I promptly quit that law firm and opened up my own law firm. I was the first lawyer in America to advertise on Spanish language television because I speak Spanish. And the rest of the story, as I'm fond of saying, is a 27-year overnight sensation. It was that simple.
Imagine that, huh?
Yeah. As far as me personally, I live with my wife, Reyes. She is an entrepreneur of her own. She has 2 medical spas and has had them for 16 years, so she stays very busy with that. We have a 15-year-old daughter who lives with us, and my mom who lives with us. So we're one of those like early intergenerational households that you guys keep reading about, but it's going to get more and more normal. So we just think we're a postmodern family in that regard. Funny side story, just for the heck of it. My wife and I participated in the very first season of the Real Housewives of Dallas, and that was an actual train wreck of an experience. And so my wife said hell no to getting on the crazy train for season 2. That was a few years back, but not that far back. So if you were to Google Marie Reyes, you will see all kinds of Bravo, Real Housewives stuff. And I like to mention that story just because it was such a freaking train wreck.
That's really neat. I did not know that about you.
It was pretty crazy. And it was a pretty weird experience. When I'm not working, what do I like to do? I like to travel, I like to surf, I like to ski, I like to box. Obviously, I live in Dallas. I'm not surfing in Dallas. Got to get on an airplane, but I'm willing to do it to surf. And so those are kind of the hobbies that keep me busy, and and trying to keep myself a little healthy. I don't know. I'm not perfect. I try. I guess it's that progress, not perfection, that I'm okay with. And so, what was the other question? It was about what do I do?
Yeah, just a little bit about yourself personally. But actually, I got a bunch of questions right now. So,
let's hear them. Yeah.
You mentioned surfing. Where do you like to go to surf?
Oh my gosh! So one of my favorite places is Sayulita, Mexico, which is near Punta Mita. Some of the people might be more familiar with Punta Mita than they are Sayulita, which is a very small surf town, total hippie town. If you're not a hippie dippy, don't go. You're not going to like it. If you're a hippie dippy surf guy, you'll love it, or gal, you'll love it. If you can't if you're okay surfing cold water, I can't recommend. Malibu in the summer is literally world class. Hawaii in March, world class. Bali in March, April, May, world class. I've had the good fortune of having surfed in, I think, 4 continents. And sorry about that light. I'll see if I can get it to come back on. Here, let me
Yeah,
move. There we go. If you sit too long in your chair and you don't
that's
move
right.
in my office, it's energy efficiency that I'm cool with. Sorry about that. And so those are my favorite places. So California, Mexico, Hawaii, Puerto Rico is a good place too. It's a little harder to get to. Don't get there as often, but that's those are some good surf spots.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Actually, I'm surprised to hear you say that it's harder to get to Puerto Rico than say like Hawaii.
Well, only because when you get to Puerto Rico, it's a longer drive to the surf spots than it is in Hawaii, where you can literally be there in 30 minutes. And
there you go. Cool. And then, all right, Real Housewives. That's really cool. So I, that was a guilty pleasure of mine for a little while with my wife.
No kidding. Oh my God.
Now, I don't think we stayed. So Dallas is a more a newer version of it, right?
It's down the list. It's not one of your good. It's
One of the
not like New York or Orange County or whatever. I got it. We knew we were down the pecking order. Trust me, it was obvious on how it was handled and done and everything else. But that's okay.
That's got to have been a crazy experience to have people in your house, and I just have to imagine. And we're way off topic, but it's just for me. I mean, I have to imagine that they're creating situations where you're going to get together with people that you're going to have some tension, right? They need tension.
Yes, it is. As I like to say, it is not scripted, and anyone that thinks it is wrong. But it is produced, which means it's sort of directionally maneuvered, but it's not directed per se. There's no scripting at all. There are, as you said, intentional clashes, and there are enough people with enough earbuds on listening to conversations to know how to make those collisions happen. And it's pretty clever, actually. And my hat's off to them, because it can't be easy to do what they do. We weren't interested in continuing, but the show goes on.
Did you meet Andy?
Yes, we did.
That's cool.
You do that at the reunion.
Yeah.
When everyone wants to throw wine bottles at each other and stuff like that. So.
It's a cool guy. I love that show, but it just got to be too much. I guess kind of like for you and your wife as well. Like after a while, I've had enough.
Look, we work. That show's really designed for, I don't know, people that don't work maybe. So anyway.
What was the impact of that on your law firm? And we'll get into. I want to definitely find out more about the law firm. But I
don't think it had any impact on my law firm. The spouses and or significant others on the show are featured and shown, but not really a part of the story. It's really about the housewives. So it didn't really have any impact on our law firm here. We don't use it in any marketing or anything like that. It was just a funny story I thought I'd throw out there, because
really neat.
It was a 1-year train wreck.
I feel for you. Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, let's hear a little bit about the law firm. What do you tell us the name, and then what do you guys do? What's your expertise?
So the name is Angel Reyes. It's Reyes, Browne, Reilley, and we specialize in plaintiff's personal injury cases. We only represent injury victims, mostly car and truck wrecks, but we also do some bad drug cases, everything from Taxotere to low testosterone to Trazolol, cases that some of you may have heard of, some of you maybe not. And we also do some bad medical device cases. But probably 80% of the work we do is car and truck wrecks all across the country, depending on the severity of the injuries. And we've represented about 35,000 people over the last 27 years. So we've done a lot of that work.
That is a lot. So that's a huge volume of cases. It seems like. How is it that I mean, if that's your volume of cases, then you're probably getting like 2 or 3 or 5 or maybe 10 times the number of people coming to you. What do you think sets you apart from your competitors that you're getting so many leads?
Well, we do a lot of marketing. I can't understate that. We spent north of $4 million in 2020, and it was that was challenging. I mean, this has been a weird year. I don't think anyone would disagree with me that COVID certainly affected things for a significant amount of time, and it continues to affect things. But here in Texas, shall we say that Texans have not been super strict about locking down. Let's just leave it at that. So our traffic never did, dip below about 50–60%. So we still had those cases coming in. We also had a lot of cases. We always carry 3,000-ish cases. So we still had plenty of cases from years past that we continue to work on. And so, look, when it comes to how do we get these cases, we use PPC, we use TV, we use Facebook, we use YouTube, organic SEO, blogs, just about anything you can name, we do. Google PPC is probably the best performer. We have we're big enough with Google that we actually have a Google manager who will pick up the phone and call us back, which is kind of cool. A lot of small businesses are told that's going to happen when they sign up, and then they can't even get an email to get answered. So that's kind of neat. We've got at least a little, we're on their radar barely. I'm sure we're still micro to the bigger organization, but at least they'll pick up the phone call and they will help us. I got an internal marketing team that tracks our Google bidding all day, every day. It's a pain, but it's necessary. We use software called Marin to also help with that effort. Folks that aren't familiar with Marin should probably consider it. There are really only two options: letting Google do their own auto bidding algorithm, for you, or you can use Marin. And for now we're using Marin just because we figured Google has got it figured out how to make more money somehow. And we're not sure. They've been good to us, and we're going to keep using them. That's a good way to get some cases. But we use like Engage and Invoca to track our click-to-calls. That helps with website attribution as well. And this is really critical stuff, because if you're not tracking where you're getting your cases and finding out how much it costs, we care about what a lead costs, but we care more about what a signed contract costs. Because at the end of the day, that's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, if we got a signed contract, the money we spent for it, we don't want to overspend for it. We want to keep those costs in line, and so we have a fairly robust daily. A couple of people, that's all they do all day long.
That's impressive.
So that's one way that we get over 200 cases a month, every single month.
That's all very, very impressive what you just explained.
Yeah.
And you're right. Like, it's a funnel, right? So you have conversions you have attention at the top, then conversions, which means they just like took whatever action you wanted them to. But what you're talking about is down to the lead, and even below that, the case.
Because that's all that matters. Because you can spend $5 a click, but if all those clicks, if it takes $7,000 worth of clicks to make a contract, you might be overpaying for that contract. So
that's right.
Those are things we pay a lot of attention to, and really try to do the best job we can. I mean, I'm not for a second suggesting that we do it the best, but we spend a lot of time and energy on it, and we try to get better and better at it, and we try to add software tools to help us get better and better at it, and that's why we use Marin. So
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have it to the point yet where you can pretty much calculate, and maybe under normal circumstances, not COVID, but basically $1 in gets you X number of dollars out?
Yeah, we were able to do that calculation. Yeah,
that's really interesting. Yeah, so you could turn it up and turn it down. The effect.
It takes a few years of data and a lot of sort of data mining, because the data isn't perfect ever. It requires someone on inside making sure that every case that we ultimately reject, because don't forget, a contract that we like today could turn into a case we don't like in 3 months. And so how do you track that rejection rate? Again, the fact that earlier you counted that as a bona fide good sign up. And so it's a big circular attribution process, and when you're spending $4+ million a year, I think you should be doing that. Unless you happen to have insanely great luck and you land all these big cases, and it just doesn't really matter. We have to be a little more sensitive about it because it matters to us, and so we try to do the best job we can to
Yeah, it's either that or it's a
put a
gut
cost
call,
in
right?
line.
So it's worth making the investment. Otherwise, it's just pure intuition.
Exactly. And my intuition, it's sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. I don't know. Maybe it's like yours. It's, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So anyway.
Cool. All right. So you've got a pretty big marketing engine in place. Actually, I would say a very big marketing engine. $4 million a year in marketing and advertising. That's impressive. What do you think that's going to do for you in the next 5 to 10 years? And also, just kind of like put a variant on that question. Of course, COVID affected you, but did you kind of like keep your marketing at the same level? Maybe drop down a little for the last 9 months, or did you like go all in?
We went all in. We just did it. And we still got really close to the number of cases we had in 2019. There were firms that cut back, and I can understand why would not have been a horrible decision to make. But we decided just to go ahead and press and stayed in, all in, didn't cut a single dime from our advertising budget. And it worked out. So, attribute that to a little bit of luck. Let's face it. I mean, it worked out. I mean, who could have predicted? Certainly not in March, April, May, June, July, that strategy was going to be okay. It would have, most people in March were staring at the abyss, and so was I. But I just had a sort of, again, that was intuition. I followed it, and it worked out this year. I'm glad it did. So I do think we got a little bit lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a similar boat as you. We don't have quite the marketing budget for our own marketing firm as you have for your law firm, but certainly there was, the initial reaction was, all right, just stop everything, hunker down, and that's what everyone else was doing. And that lasted about 2 days, and then we decided to go on the offensive, and we doubled down on our social media in particular. We started doing more advertising, and it's worked out for us, that's for sure. But it's also, yes, intuition, but also just lessons learned from other business leaders over the years.
Yeah, like
an opportunity.
You can't be scared. You can't just quit. You can't just hide. And so that we made a similar decision, and it sounds like it kind of worked out. At least, look, was it perfect? No, but it worked out fairly well. Barely 10% difference in the number of cases this year versus last year. And it sounds like it worked out pretty well for you too. The only thing it did for us, though, is it made us work like 2 or 3 hours extra every day. Literally, global pandemic causes lawyer hours to go from 55 to 65 a week. Now, had you told me that, I wouldn't have believed you. But somehow that's where we're at. And it's I don't know. Yeah, the grind got grindier.
Grittier.
Grittier and grindier.
Well, very cool. Hey, I appreciate your time. Where can people go to find out more information about you or about your company?
Sure. Our website address is www.reyeslaw, REYESLAW.com. And it's always an easy way to find me by emailing me. And my email address is angel, ANGEL, @reyeslaw, REYESLAW.com. That has been my email address since 1993. It's the only one I have. If I suspect you could probably Google me and find that damn email address because I don't hide it. So those are the 2 easiest ways to find us, reach us. And we're always happy to share tips, best practices, forms, connections, connectivity, anything anybody needs in Texas. We go out of our way to help because we hope that people will return those favors if we ever need them.
I hear you. No, it's super smart. And, I think I can clearly tell that you've been doing marketing for a long time because most people will not divulge their email address because they're afraid of the spam. And I'm sure it's just your email address.
Cool.
You get spam, but I'd rather get flooded with, leads and interest and have to deal with spam as well than have no one emailing me.
My gosh, of course. And, every once in a while, look, I get it. Spam annoys everybody. But I'm a big believer that, if you take just a second every once in a while, out of every 20 that you think should just never have come your way, you might learn something. You might find something out that you hadn't thought about. It might trigger a thought or an idea. I mean, let's face it, Eric, your email to me, here we are. We're having a conversation, and who knows where this will lead. And I'm a big believer in the, as I tell my daughter, I'm always open to the possibility of yes, as opposed to constantly no, 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 no. And so I would recommend that anyone who hasn't tried to live their life that way, try. Because if you're open to the possibility of yes, all kinds of cool things can sometimes happen.
I love that perspective. And with that, let's call it a wrap. Hey, man, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.